Episode number 960, Why Most Leaders Fail.
You're listening to the official BNI podcast with BNI founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Dr. Ivan Misner. Stay tuned for networking and referral marketing tips from the man who's been called the father of modern networking, along with suggestions and insights into getting the most from your membership in the world's largest networking organization, BNI.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the official BNI podcast. I'm Priscilla Rice, and I'm coming to you from Live Oak Recording Studio in Berkeley, California, and I'm joined on the phone today by the founder and the Chief Visionary Officer of BNI, Dr. Ivan Misner. Hello, Ivan. How are you, and where are you?
I am back home in Austin, Texas. I just did one of my Founders Education series globally. I love doing those, and I do them at least half a dozen times a year, almost sometimes every month. So I get around more and more via the internet, which is a little bit easier these days for me.
No kidding. What do you have for us today?
Well, I've got somebody this is his third time on the show, Cameron Reynolds. And Cameron is the youngest executive director in BNI, serving in the Tampa Bay, Florida region. He's launched and led award-winning chapters. He's been featured at various BNI U.S. national conferences, and he spoke at BNI Global Convention in Sydney, Australia. Cameron focuses on helping members understand referral psychology for their businesses so that growth becomes inevitable. Cameron, welcome back to the BNI podcast.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's good to have you here. So the full title of your presentation is Why Most Leaders Fail, the 3D Fix. Tell me what you're talking about with that.
Yeah. So, all of us are leaders in some way in our lives, whether it's personal, whether it's in how we practice faith, whether it's in our business, whether it's in organizations. And so many of us are trying, but our efforts aren't being directed in the right way. I had a leader in an organization, a service organization I was in. They approached me one time and they said, "Hey, Cam, we would love you to fill this specific position." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool. What would I be doing?" And he's like, "Well, I actually don't know. I just know that we need somebody in this position." And I'm like, "Dude, I can't commit to something I don't know what I'm going to do. So once you figure out what those responsibilities are, come back to me." And I never heard another word about it again from him or anybody else. And then that organization didn't really do much. And then eventually that leader was switched out to somebody else, and things got moving. And so that's a great example of what not to do as a leader. So, with that, my favorite example of a story version of this, because I love stories, Green and Clean. Are you familiar with Stephen R. Covey? He's a very famous author.
Yeah, of course I know. And I know his son really, really well. Stephen M. R. Covey is a past member of the Transformational Leadership Council. So I know Stephen, his son, very well.
Yeah, so it's Stephen talking about his son, Stephen, Green and Clean. People can look it up on YouTube, just Green and Clean, but this story is absolutely fantastic. The dad, right, Stephen, he's talking to his son at a family meeting, and his son agrees to take care of the yard. And so Stephen takes him out. He takes him to his neighbor's yard. He says, "You see this yard? This is green and clean. That's your job, green and clean." And he goes over to their yard. He says, "See this yard? See our yard? This is not green and clean. So what's green?" And his son points over to the neighbor's yard. He says, "What's clean?" His son points over to his neighbor's yard. He says, "Perfect. I'm here to help you with whatever you need. You tell me when, you tell me how. I'll even tell you what I would do if it was me." And his son goes, "Well, what would you do?" He goes, "Well, I'd turn on the sprinklers, but you can pull out a hose. You can do it with buckets. You could spit on it all day long if you want. But how you do it is up to you. Green and clean is the goal we're looking for." And so they have this whole dialogue back and forth. And he says they got to the end and they had their agreement. It was amazing. And he did nothing. Absolutely nothing. He goes, "I could have excused Saturday and Sunday away, but it was Tuesday evening at this point. Monday and Tuesday doing nothing, that is unexcusable." And he goes, "I almost moved to win-lose tactics of you get over here, you do this, you hear me." And I love what he says. He says, but that would have killed effectiveness in turn for efficiency. Right? Because what happens when he's not there to tell him what to do? And so, eventually Tuesday evening comes and they agreed to meet 2 times a week to talk about, how are you doing with your stewardship of the yard? And they meet and he knows the time's coming and he sees his son's lip quivering. He goes, "Hey son, so how's the yard? Is it green and clean?" And he starts bawling and he goes, "Dad, it's so hard." He goes, "So hard? You haven't done a single thing." This is what he wanted to say. It's not what he actually said. Instead, he says, "How can I help you?"
How many times have we seen BNI members do that, by the way? It's so hard. They haven't actually done most of the things that need to be done. Yeah. All right. And so we're halfway through, so you want to wrap up this story. It's a great story.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the end of the story, right? He helps him get started, and then once it's started, the son keeps it going. And so he set a vision. He set this is how you can do it. And that really leads back to, as leaders, we have 2 jobs. Our first job is to set the vision. And our second job is to remove obstacles.
Yeah, and to coach them as well, because I think Stephen Sr. was definitely coaching his son. I mean, I've heard Stephen M.R. Tell this story, and you did a good job, by the way, of telling the story very much the way he does. But I think coaching it is also part of it. He was there to help him through the process.
Yeah. And so, right, that whole thing of set the vision, remove the obstacles, and leading into the 3D fix. Well, first you need to set the vision.
Yeah, the 3D fix. Let's talk about the climb: discernment, discipline, and diligence.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 3Ds, the 3D fix to streamline your leadership, to really have it take hold. That first D is discernment. You need, and this is the knowing the what, the knowing the when, the knowing the how, who should be doing what, and really understanding what should be happening, even if it should be happening. Then once you understand that, then it's moving to that discipline. And the discipline it's the doing, whether you feel like it or not. It's also that holding others and yourself accountable to it. And there's that quote I love.
Accountability is something you do for someone, not to someone.
Yes. I love when you say that. That's one of my favorite quotes from you. But there's this other quote saying, "What you permit, you promote. What you allow, you encourage. What you condone, you own. And what you tolerate, you deserve."
Yeah.
So finding out how to help others be accountable. And then that third one is diligence. And that's that whole, Brian Tracy quote. If it's to be, it's up to me. As a leader, it's up to you to get it done, not necessarily for you to do it. So helping, whether it's you or the other people who need to be doing it based on your discernment of who should do it, to get it done, get it across the finish line. And you can see that pretty clearly in that green and clean story of the discernment was, my son should be doing this, not me. And then the discipline was, hey, we're going to meet twice a week. This is the vision. And then that diligence was following up on it, making sure it got done. So discernment, discipline, and diligence.
I like it. So how can the leaders listening to this apply the 3D principle to transform their leadership, particularly in BNI, for sure?
Absolutely. I think a big piece of it, right, coming back to the 2 things as leaders, is set the vision, remove the obstacles. Setting the vision is a big piece of that. Because have you ever heard the tale of the bricklayers?
Yes, I think I wrote that one, if it's the one I'm thinking of, in Infinite Legacy.
Yeah, I think it was. But I mean, super basic 30-second version. Tell the bricklayers, this man comes walking into a town. He sees 3 bricklayers. He goes to the first. He says, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" He says, "Oh, I'm laying bricks." He's like, "Oh, cool." He walks to the second bricklayer. He says, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" He goes, "I'm building a wall." He goes, "Oh, cool." He walks to the third bricklayer and he says, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And the bricklayer turns to him, stands up, looks at what he's building. He says, "I'm building a cathedral where men's hearts will change and they will come together." They're all doing the same thing.
They're all doing the same thing, but one is a master bricklayer, and what a difference. Yeah, that a version of that story is in my book, Infinite Legacy. So thank you for bringing that up.
By the way, one of the best openings to any book you have on that Dynamite opening is fantastic, right? But with that, how chapter members and how leaders can use it is set a vision that inspires. Because if your goal is, we're going to grow the chapter by 2 members, not an inspiring vision where if it's this is what we're going to do, this is how it's going to impact us, that's a vision people can get behind. And then you got to remove the obstacles with that discernment, with that discipline, with that diligence.
Excellent. So you want to talk about the before and after, and we need to wrap up then.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest piece of this is ownership. And that's really what that 3D principle is to instill inside of the members, inside of chapters, is that feeling of ownership. This is your chapter. Me specifically, I'm a launch specialist. So I specialize in launching chapters. I've done over 11 in the last 2 years, multiple Hall of Fame launches. And the chapters where I've used this 3D fix, they become incredible chapters. They launch quickly. It's incredible. And the ones where I haven't, where I've gotten a little lax, maybe on the discernment of, just accepting anybody instead of really discerning who are going to be the right people chapter or even started out with, or that discipline of not helping people stay accountable, or maybe that diligence of getting complacent and not, getting it across the finish line. It changes the game.
Well, Cameron, you're a good storyteller. You really are. And I'd love to have you back again sometime. Cameron's website for BNI is bnitampa.com, and his website for his coaching business is articulateadvantage.com. Articulateadvantage.com. Cameron, thanks again. I'm going to have your father on soon.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me. He's excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to have him on. So thank you so much for being on. Priscilla, over to you.
Okay, that's great. I think that's it for this week. Thank you both for a great podcast. This podcast is sponsored by MeisnerAudioPrograms.com. These audio programs will provide you with the tools and the inspiration to powerfully enhance your BNI experience. So check out the great material that's available to you at MeisnerAudioPrograms.com, and then use the promo code IVAN50 for 50% off of everything. All of the proceeds go to the BNI Foundation. Thank you so much for listening. This is Priscilla Rice, and we look forward to having you join us again next week for another exciting episode of the official BNI podcast.